Hello and welcome to Power Level 10. Today I will be building Piccolo from Dragon Ball in the Mutants and Masterminds tabletop RPG system. Before we begin, I am establishing a ground rule. No matter what the character's actual power level is, I'm capping them at no higher than Power Level 10, giving them 150 power points to spend. 150 points is not enough to perfectly build most fictional characters. There will have to be downscaling, and by Dragon Ball Superhero, Piccolo's true Mutants and Masterminds power level is definitely way beyond 10. This video is meant to show players how to build a character inspired by an existing character. Exactly power scaling fictional characters with only 150 power points would be extremely painful. First of all, Piccolo is a Namekian. A lot of his powers come from his ki and his ki control. Those are the limitations for this build. One thing to note, Mutants and Masterminds does not necessarily adapt to limited uses and therefore cannot fully represent limited ki like in Dragon Ball. Consider requesting your Game Master help you create a mechanic for limited ki if you want it. A more vanilla way to go about this is to put the tiring flaw or limited flaw on some of your more powerful attacks. You can build a character in any order, but I'm starting with powers as they are usually the most expensive. Then I'll buy advantages. Last we will finish off with ability scores and skills. Let's start with our attacks first. Special Beam Cannon is a damage power. It should have 2 area line extras to make it 60 feet. It should be penetrating, and it should have the distracting flaw. It shoots far in a straight line, it pierces through even the toughest defenses. Sound good? The downside is that using it will leave you vulnerable for a turn. For maximum flavor and effectiveness, I recommend that you use it in conjunction with the aim action one turn before, and possibly even the all-out attack action if you want to play a risky game with a more glass cannon build. 3 points per rank. At rank 10 it would cost 30 points. Hellzone Grenade is also a damage power that makes you hit multiple targets at range and from odd angles, possibly surprising them. Multi-attack, as well as 4 ranks of indirect, make this power difficult to avoid. It should also have increased range. Since we have 2 points left over, let's slap 2 ranks of homing in there in case we miss. I recommend you put your key attacks under an array to reduce their prices. 8 ranks into Hellzone Grenade with 4 ranks of indirect and 2 of homing would normally cost 30 points. But since you put 30 into the Special Beam Cannon power, we can put this under it as a Ki Blast array, which only costs 1 point instead. All Ki Blast powers come from the same source, and you'll never be using these attacks at the same time, and it's unlikely you will want to use them all in the same turn anyway. Light Grenade is, you guessed it, a damage power that hits a single target. Give it increased range to make it ranged, and optionally area burst if you want it to hit big. Like Special Beam Cannon, I recommend using aim and possibly power attack. 3 points per rank, so 30 points at rank 10. Best to put this under your Ki Blast array as well. The last attack we'll have is the Hyper Explosive Demon Wave. This will be a true last resort attack. Area burst again, twice, maybe even 3 times, making the range between 60 to 120 feet. That's 18 to 36 meters. If you would rather make it pack a bit more punch, consider downsizing to 2 areas and putting on Penetrating 10 instead. To compensate, this attack will have the tiring flaw. It should be saved as a total last resort. So with just 2 area bursts and no tiring, that's 30 points. 3 bursts and 1 tiring, 30 points. 2 bursts, tiring, and 10 ranks of penetrating, 30 points still. Pick your favorite. You probably guessed it, we're going to put this under our Ki Blast array. Your own Game Master may not be so happy with stacking your powers under a single array, but I personally am fine with it. Remember to always ask your Game Master about if it's okay before getting married to your ideas. Now I'll move on to some smaller powers. At least 1 point of regeneration for Piccolo's Namekian Regeneration. This means over a bit of time you'll be able to regrow lost limbs and recover health very, very slowly, but still faster than normal rest. At 10 ranks, you will recover 1 condition each turn. Regeneration tends to scare Game Masters. It scares me. I cannot stress enough, remember to ask first. Let's say Piccolo has 1 rank of regeneration, since he isn't recovering from wounds quite that fast. Flight at 2 ranks to represent Ki Flight. That's 120 feet per second, which isn't shabby. 2 points per rank means this costs 4 points. Here's where I suggest some of his forms. Forms are troublesome in Mutants and Masterminds because typically you cannot exceed power level limitations. If your stats are maxed out, you cannot break your limits merely by pushing your stats up. Giant Form is roughly 4 or 8 ranks of the growth power. Every 4 ranks gives plus 4 strength and stamina, plus 4 mass, plus 2 intimidation with a -1 stealth, -2 dodge and parry. Additionally, your size category rises by 1, making you occupy a 2x2 or a 3x3 instead of a 1x1. The problem? Because it's still subject to your power level limitations, giant form will not likely be useful when you have other options. You can still change your size, but you will not be benefiting from an increase in powers if they exceed the power level limitations, unless your Game Master is generous and allows it at the cost of a hero point. At 16 power points, it's also too expensive for my tastes, and the power points are better served elsewhere. Let's keep it a hero point requested power boost, shall we? So, Orange Piccolo. The obvious solution is that it's an all-stats upgrade, except presence and intelligence. Boosting all other ability scores makes it cost 12 points per rank up to your preferred rank. Unfortunately, it suffers the same problem as Giant Form, power level limitations. Since Orange Piccolo is just a straight-up power boost, you're restricted by power level limitations. For that, I recommend perhaps buying this power as a feature you can activate with a hero point, like Giant Form. Your second option is to keep your main ability scores low so you can activate these powers to really get the feeling you're powering up in combat. And since you're saving those ability scores for a power, they can also be boosted with extra effort as well. Your final option lies with an advantage found in Mutants and Masterminds' book Hero High, called Holding Back. Essentially, if your team is losing badly, you can burn a hero point and try to access your deeper power. But it comes with some sort of drawback. If you succeed, that's 60 plus power points and 4 plus power levels, but in this case, you'll probably end up causing accidental collateral damage or draining your energy so much you'll be near death afterwards. That drawback is between you and your Game Master, and there is no one-size-fits-all solution. Hey, maybe your Game Master will be generous and allow you to make the Giant Form and Orange Piccolo form under the key array. It lets you have options, rely on your martial arts a little more, although you couldn't do anything else in the key array, so no key and no Giant Orange Piccolo. That's the last power I have to show. So far we spent 38 out of 150 points. I guess we'll buy Orange Piccolo and the Giant Form under the key array anyway for a clean 40. But if you don't want to, that's 2 extra points to spend. Next we're going to buy some advantages. Remember, advantages almost always cost 1 power point unless you're buying additional ranks. The obvious first choices immediately are Improved Aim, Power Attack, and All-Out Attack. These will give you flexibility when you need to spend some time for a power boost or sacrifice accuracy in your defenses for some damage. I've said this before, but you can really punch above your weight class with this combination, if you're smart and play it safe. Piccolo is extremely smart, so assessment for sizing up opponents. Interpose. Do you really need me to say more? Die Hard is always good. Piccolo can take a beating. Improved critical at rank 4 for your Ki Blast array. With this, your chance of getting critical hits with your special beam cannon rises from 1 in 20 to 1 in 4, letting you score a critical hit if you roll 16 or higher on a hit check. Bonus points on your Game Master if they let it count for all your Ki Blasts and Ki Beams. Teamwork will let you do better team checks, combining skills with allies for even greater efficiency than without it. Move by action is basically essential, allowing you to spend movement in between actions instead of needing to use it all in one big chunk. Of course, there's always the luck advantage, which is useful in literally every build. It is so useful in fact that your Game Master might want it limited or even disallowed, so I'm not even setting aside points for it here. Altogether, that's 12 points, so 52 out of 150 down. Plus any additional points you might be spending to purchase luck, or other improved criticals you might be interested in. The very last thing we have to buy are Piccolo's ability scores and skills. Honestly, you could make an argument for any combination of ability scores, and this isn't even properly representative of his power because of my 150 point limit. I'm going to create a decently balanced, but ultimately not fully optimized build. What you can do to plug the holes is to maximize your defenses and your accuracy/hit chance. Piccolo is an amazingly strong fighter, especially a martial artist, and he's no slouch when it comes to ki. He has good combat stats, decent mental stats, but barely any social stats besides intimidation. Don't get me wrong, he's a great dad and granddad, but I don't think he's getting very many looks from cute demon girls. His base ability scores are as follows. Strength 7, Agility 5, Fighting 7, Awareness 5, Stamina 7, Dexterity 7, Intelligence 3, Presence 0. If you ever need to fight with your martial arts skills, use Fighting for your hit check and Strength as your base damage DC. So 7 Strength, 15 plus 7, DC 22. All in all, that's 82 points, so 134 out of 50. The rest are going to skills. Let's pick some generally good skills for a martial artist. Remember that skills cost half a point, not a full point. Acrobatics 5, Athletics 5, Insight 5, Intimidation 10, Perception 5. And Vehicles 2, of course. He took driving lessons after all. That's the last 16 points. This is our 150 point build for Piccolo. He can fist fight, he can Ki Blast, he uses several signature moves with various utilities. All of these powers will be available wrapped up in a useful compendium compatible with Foundry VTT's unofficial Mutants and Masterminds module, courtesy of Zacharick on GitHub. Be aware some things are in French, but it shouldn't be a problem. Please use Mana's Compendium Importer to import these into your own game and use at your leisure. Thank you all for watching. I'm looking forward to possibly building a few more powers or characters. For example, did you know it's possible to purchase a power on par with Pain's Almighty Push? Damage rank 5, which is more than enough to solidly shatter stone and level soil. Area Burst stacked 9 times gets you up to 1 mile of radius. 2 stacks of increased range can make it perception based. That's your eyes. That's 60 points. 5 ranks times 11 points per rank. Now make it tiring and fading to reduce it down by -2 points per rank. So we're at 50. One may even be able to argue using a power strain can boost it 3 more ranks, but by this point, you've probably already given your Game Master a headache, so I'll leave that up in the air. Don't even get me started on how much work it would be to stat out all 6 paths of pain, although that is possible in Vanilla Mutants and Masterminds 3rd edition.